I've been quilting for about 12 years now. My grandma taught me how to quilt when I was young. We used to make quilts for family members and friends as gifts. It allows me to express myself. I like to it's nice to give things to people. I like to give gifts and make gifts, and quilting's fun. You can personalize anything for anybody. It's meditative. I can watch TV while I quilt and stuff like that. I think a lot of people think of quilting as an old person kind of thing, as an old time kind of hobby, but I think it's actually gaining a little more recognition nowadays, which is really nice. I think people are getting over the fact that it's not just for old people and for pilgrims, and everybody's doing it now. I think it's starting to become trendy, which is nice. Urban quilting could be quilting in an urban environment. I definitely would love to have my quilts in museums or on display somewhere. I mean, it depends on what the theme of it is or the purpose of it, but for an art museum, I would personally try to do something a little more abstract, a little more interesting, more thought-provoking than just kind of geometric shapes. I feel like geometry's pretty, but I think you can do more with abstract. You're not set to a specific style or a specific, pattern or anything like that. A lot of people don't like black in quilts, but I think it's striking. I like to use one black panel somewhere, off to the side or something like that. They kind of stand out. I think in a lot of crafts people stray away from black because it's not really a color and it's not, just kind of a void space, but I like it. I think it's stark. I think it kind of brings out emotion. I prefer hand quilting. It's more personal, first of all, especially if it's a gift. I really like my gifts to be full of everyone says loves in every stitch, but it really is when you do something by hand, and that's why I prefer hand sewing and stuff. And it's also, I feel like you have a little more creativity, a little more freedom with what you're doing, as opposed to with a machine you're kind of stuck to the different stitches the machine can do or things like that. As opposed to by hand, you can kind of just make it up as you go along. You can ad-lib the whole thing. I went to the Museum of Folk Art right next to MoMA on 52nd and 6th, and they had some really cool quilts there. I mean, a lot of them it is folk art, so a lot of it is from the 1800s, early 1900s, but there were a couple of modern ones that were really cool, like that. Now that it's kind of resurfacing, they have a little interesting mix of quilts. I like to do landscapes and stuff like that. I like to do trees and mountain, but I'm not, if I could draw a person, I would quilt a person, or if I had a picture of somebody that I could use, I would definitely do it. I think the ones that are made for display are more display, one because of the fabrics, but just fabrics that you wouldn't really want against your body. Also the artistic aspect, you can quilt in sequins and things like that, into the fabric, and be scratchy and itchy on you. I mean, there are definitely quilts that are display and are usable, but it really kind of depends on what they're made of and what their purpose was when they were created. I feel like when you're creating a quilt, you kind of have to think about that, is it going to be used or is it going to be hung somewhere to see? I definitely use them as opposed to just using them as display. I curl up on the couch with them, and I mean, my grandma gave me a quilt when I was little that I still use and I still wear.